and she's not having that. Well, hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Automotive Insight. Today we've got a 2011 Toyota RAV4. This car came in for some work. We already did that, but we always give the cars a good once over just to see what's what. And we noticed that the right front strut was leaking. So the customer approved us doing front strut. So that's what we're going to be getting into today. Let's get into it. Lug nuts are 21 millimeters. All right, so here's our strut in question. You can see leaking oil all over the strut. So let's go ahead and work on getting this thing off. I'm going to start by lubing the sway bar link ends up. While the PB blaster's doing its thing, there's a couple of brake line and ABS lines that are on the strut itself. They are 14 millimeters. This ABS has a little clip on it. We're going to end up having to take this off of the strut later, but for right now, I'm just going to take this out of the way. All right, so this part here is totally optional. But I know a lot of you guys that watch our channel are DIYers. You can pick up a thing like this, and this is a camber reading tool. And the way that this works is, I'll try to get you here. You basically get this bubble centered so that side to side it is level, and you're in line with basically the axle. And I'm on just a flat piece on the rotor. And then there's a dial underneath it. And you get that, oh, wrong way. You turn this until you get something resembling 0, or at least the bottom line is you're trying to be able to duplicate this. So if you have this set here at 0 and you know it's 0, you can pull this strut off of it, and then when you put your strut back on, you can play with the angle of the strut and the knuckle to get this back to 0 again. We've got an alignment rack right next to the machine, so I'm not that concerned about it, but that's one route you can do. Another route you can do is you can scribe a line where the strut and the knuckle meet, and that'll get you pretty close to where you need to go. I've seen other people use lasers. They'll attach a laser to the strut or the knuckle, and they'll point it up at the fender, and they'll make a mark there, and they'll do everything, and then they'll get the laser line back up. It'll get you close, but you're still going to have an alignment regardless. But anyway, I just figured I'd show you and tell you a couple ways to do that. Let's go ahead and get working on getting this strut off. At this point, our blaster's probably done all it's capable of doing, so we'll try to get our sway bar links off. They are 17 millimeters. All right, so she wasn't having any of that. So one route you can go is you can just put a 17 on the nut part. You can beat in a 6 millimeter Allen into it, and then we are essentially going to be tightening with the gun, but that will be loosening it on the nut. All right, we get working on our steering knuckle hardware. They are 22 millimeters. With your bolts out, go ahead and pull your knuckle away from your strut, and then we are more or less done. taking it out from the bottom, we'll go up top. All right, up on top, our strut top bolts are, well, nuts are 14 millimeters, so I'll just break these loose by hand. With those broken loose now, let me zoom you out here a little bit. We're basically going to take 2 of these off, and then as we work on the third one, you're going to have to come from the side and hold this, otherwise it'll just fall on the ground and you run the risk of breaking a sensor or something. Alright, so I'm not going to bore you with the actual replacement of the struts because most of the time, based on the comments, it seems like you guys are putting on quick struts, and that's fine. So if you want to see how to do it, you can watch pretty much any of our other strut videos. We also have a video of us testing different types of spring compressors to figure out which one might be best for you. You may also notice that we're now working on the other side, and that's because I was doing a bunch of work on that side and got distracted and forgot to film putting it back together. So even though Little Joe's not here, I'm gonna blame him for some reason. So we'll go ahead and get this back on, get these nuts started and tightened down, and we'll go back together with this side. I did put on new struts, new mounts and bearings, new bellows. The bump stops were fine, so I kept those, but pretty much everything that you would get with a quick strut. Anyway, I just don't like using quick struts because they just don't seem to last very long. Just snugging these down for the time being, just so I can put the rest of it back together. We'll come back and torque these later. All right, I'm kind of just gonna zip through this whole thing. I will give all the torque specs for this stuff at the end of the video. But basically, we're just putting all the stuff that we took apart back together. So one thing that can be a little bit confusing is how this conglomeration here goes together. So basically the brake line bracket goes on in the back, and then the ABS wire goes on top of it. You don't have to take this bolt out here. I took this out because I put an axle seal on this side, and I stuck an axle and a seal on the other side. This piece here you will have to take off of your other side. It is easiest to pop this out once you get the strut out, because it goes in here. You can get where the knuckle would be, you can use to pop the little Christmas tree thing out of it, but you have to pop that out from your old one to put it back in. For the time being, I'm just going to tighten these. I'm not going to torque them because I'm going to have to go on the alignment rack and loosen them up and adjust the camber anyway. So again, I'll give you all the torque specs at the end of the video. Alright guys, well, we got our alignment done. We pulled it back over here. We torqued down all the bolts. So let me give you all of those specs. The upper strut mounts, the 14s on the top, they are 59 foot-pounds. If you did struts instead of quick struts, the 19 that's in the middle for the strut mount that goes on the rod. That is 46 foot-pounds. The sway bar link is 55 foot-pounds. The steering knuckle bolts, the 22s, are 166 foot-pounds, and the lug nuts are 76 foot-pounds. So that leads us to our free public service announcement. In the event that we ever don't provide a torque spec that you think needs to be addressed, in the amount of time that it takes for you to dislike the video and then leave a question or comment about it in the comment section, you could go to chatgpt.com and ask it. I have done a fair bit of testing since we've started this channel, because that is like the #1 question that gets asked on every video. And sometimes we overlook stuff. Sometimes I just don't think whatever bolt you're asking for is that important. I have found that comparing the results of ChatGPT to what ALLDATA says in like 98% of cases has been spot on or very, very close. So a couple benefits of that is that it's going to be accurate and it's going to give you that result immediately. So consider doing that. So parts and labor breakdown. We spent probably more on the individual parts and doing it all together than you would spend on quick struts. We bought the struts, the bearings, and the mounts from Toyota, and we bought the bellows from Rock Auto. I just couldn't justify paying $70 for bellows. We reused the bump stops and the springs. Our parts in total were $460. Now, I know good and well that if you bought a quick strut, you could probably get a quick strut for $160 to $200 a piece. And I will say that you're kind of doing it at your own risk. As a shop, as an entity that we are doing work for people, customers, I have found that quick struts, generally speaking, just don't seem to last that long. They tend to use really cheap mounts, and or the shock or strut starts making noise usually within like 2 or 3 years, and it's just not worth the hassle of having to do it again for free usually, and or eating the parts as well. So not to mention the fact that your customer is usually kind of angry because you just did them like 2 years ago anyway, and then they kind of question your work after that. So in our experience, I try to use either OEM or the OEM manufacturer. So labor calls for 2.5 hours to do struts, and then it calls for an alignment, which we do for 1 hour. So you're at 3.5 total. So anyway, guys, that's going to wrap the video up for today. Hopefully we earned a thumbs up from you. Let us know what you think down in the comment section. We have new content for you every single week, so consider subscribing to the channel. And with all that being said, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one. Where blah 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 blah.